Introducing the chin strap and neckband. The chin strap is made for scarring on the chin, cheeks, top and or back of head, and if the neck is involved, a neckband can be added. The chin strap can be with or without a neckband. A mask is rather advised if the eyes, nose, forehead or lips are involved, as the chin strap leaves the front of the face open. The crown of the head can be made closed or open depending if there are scars over the back of the head. In this video, the crown of the head will be open to accommodate for hairstyle.
Alright, so now we'll be taking the measurements for the chin strap and neckband. The circumferential measurements will be represented by circles on your measuring sheet and the distances squares. So the three circumferences you'll be taking is around the chin, the top of the neck and the base of the neck. So your first circumference, circumference A around the chin, you'll be taking around the base of the skull, around the chin, and that is 41 centimeters. The top of the neck, just ensure the tape measure for all of these circumferences is flush with the skin, but you're not squeezing the tape measure, and that you take your measurement accurately. You can see that the tape measure is horizontal, so it's parallel with the floor, and that is 32.2. And then the base of the skull, base of the neck is just a little bit lower, and that is 34.9. Okay, so that's circumference C, is that base of the neck. Now my distance measurements, you can use a ruler just to ensure that your measurements are accurate. So you can ask the patient to hold the ruler for measurement D, which is going to be from the chin to the middle of the lips. So you can ask the patient to hold the ruler horizontal with the floor, and my measurement is going to take from the middle of the lips to where it meets the ruler. Okay, and that is 5 centimeters. If you find that your measurement is less than 5 centimeters, just mark it as 5 centimeters. So don't make measurement less than 5 centimeters, because then the chin strap, the front of the chin strap might be too small. So regardless of the patient, make sure it's a minimum of 5 centimeters, that measurement. Then measurement E is the measurement that is from the height of the head. So you can ask the patient to hold a book at the top of the head. Because of the curvature of the head, it's just going to help. So you can ask them to hold a book that is parallel to the floor, and I'm just going to use a ruler similar to measurement D, where it's just flush with the base of their chin. So I'm just going to measure the distance. There we go, thank you. The total height of the head is measurement E. So that is 23 centimeters. Okay, thank you. Then you're going to measure measurement F, which is just the length of the base of the chin. So you can just take that measurement, and you can again use a ruler to ensure that your measurement is accurate, and it's just going to be flush with their lips, anterior, on the anterior side of their face. So you can just measure from the top of their neck to the tip of their chin. So that is 5 centimeters. Okay, then you're going to measure distance G. Distance G is for the top of the chin strap. So usually to accommodate a hairstyle, or if there's no scars at the back of the head, I recommend that you allow the crown of the head to be open on the chin strap. So I'm just going to measure distance G on the top of her head. And this measurement is usually 10 or 11 centimeters. So for her, it's 10 centimeters. Okay, so that's measurement G. And then measurement H is the measurement from the occiput. So you can palpate where her occiput bone is to the base of the skull, or the top of the neck. Okay, so that's just for the bottom of the chin strap at the back, and that is 7 centimeters. And then my last measurement, measurement I, is for the height of the neck. So you can take this measurement at the back of the neck or laterally. don't take the measurement for the height of the for the height of the neckband anteriorly, because the height of your neck anteriorly is much longer than on the side or the back. So I'm just going to take my measurements posteriorly, and that's 6 centimeters. If you make your neckband too long, it's going to roll up at the back and cause discomfort for your patients. All right, and that's all the measurements for the chin strap and neckband.
Okay, so this is the chin strap measuring sheet, or Appendix D, that we'll be using to record all circumferences and distances taken to fabricate the chin strap. Just to note that all circumferences will be recorded in the circles and all distances are recorded in the rectangles. So the first circumference taken was circumference A, and that was 41 centimeters. Okay, circumference B was 32.2 centimeters, and circumference C was 34.9 centimeters. Okay, then for the distances, distance D was 5 centimeters, distance E was 23 centimeters, and then distance F is 5 centimeters. Distance G was 10 centimeters, distance H was 7 centimeters, and distance I was 6 centimeters. Okay, so for the calculations of the chin strap, we won't be reducing the circumferences by 20% to get that 80% stretch like we did with the vest and the pants, as the skull is a more bony structure. Instead, we'll just be dividing that measurement by 2. So in this case, it would be 41 divided by 2, which is 20.5. And we won't be calculating B and C circumferences at this stage, but those will be explained and demonstrated in the design of the pattern.
Okay, so now we're going to be doing the pattern for the chin strap, and we'll be using the chin strap measuring sheet, where we also already have our measurements and our circumferential calculations done. And we'll be using the bottom right hand corner as our reference point. The reference point is, for this garment, the tip of the chin. So you'll start with a large piece of paper or interfacing, and from the reference point, we're first going to mark up our vertical measurements. So the first one is measurement D, which is to where the garment will lie just beneath the bottom lip. And remember that this measurement shouldn't be any less than 5 centimeters. So from the reference point, I'm measuring up 5 centimeters. And where I make a mark, I'm going to mark the letter A, because we'll be returning to that point. I then return to the reference point, and I'm now going to mark where the top of the head is. So that's measurement E, distance E. And that for this case is 23 centimeters. So we're going to mark that. And once you make that mark, then make a dotted perpendicular line across the page, because this is the top of the head and where the garment will end. And again, we'll also be returning to this line. And I often write there, top of head, to orientate myself. Okay, I then am going to return to the reference point, and we're now going to be making our horizontal measurements along this edge. So the first one we'll be making is distance F, and that in this case is 5 centimeters. So from the reference point, I'm going to measure 5 centimeters and make a mark. And that's to where the top of the neck starts. Again, when you make this mark, then draw a perpendicular line all the way up the page, parallel to the vertical edge, and where it meets the top of the head, you're going to mark point B, over there. Okay, you're now going to draw an arch joining point A and point B. This is the front of the face, so we want to make sure the curve does accommodate for the eyes and the cheek, so we aren't going to be joining it, otherwise that will that won't accommodate for that. We want to allow sufficient space. So you can just freehand this. I'm just going to give that as a reference to myself. And I make a small curve at the bottom. There we go. Once you've made your slight curve, you're then going to add a hem allowance of 1 centimeter. So I usually indicate with a ruler 1 centimeter along the curve. And then again, I freehand that curve. Freehand draw that curve. It's okay if you need to go over it a few times to get the smooth curve. And then just indicate that this would be your hem. You then return again to your reference point, which is the tip of the chin, and you're going to now measure out from the reference point your calculated circumference, which in this case is 20.5. So I'm going to measure along the horizontal edge 20.5. And this indicates the back of the head. So similar to the top of the head, I'm going to make a perpendicular line to the top of the head, indicating that this is the back of the head. So from the end of this line, this calculated measurement of circumference A, I'm now going to measure up that distance of the sippet, which in this case is measurement H of 7 centimeters. So along this dotted line, I measure up 7 centimeters, and where that line ends, I'm going to mark is point D. Okay, we now need to make point C, which you measure along the top of the head, is this distance G, which is how wide you want the chin strap band to be at the top of the head, over the apex of the head, and in this case it's about 10 centimeters. So from point B, we're then going to measure along this dotted line 10 centimeters, and where that ends is point C. Again, similarly to joining A and B, we are now going to join C and D. If you want, just for visual guidance, you can draw these intersecting lines and make a very similar curve as you did in the first case. So you need to make it freehand. And again, we're going to accommodate for quite a lot of space. Once you've drawn that curve freehand, again, you're going to add a 1 centimeter hem allowance. So you're just going to dot that along the curve. And again, join it freehand. And like I did in the first curve, I'm just going to write hem to remind myself. Then the last thing that we're going to do is we're going to be adding a tab. This is going to secure the Velcro so that you can secure the chin strap at the back of the head. And this is about 2 centimeter long flap. So just where distance D is, you're going to measure out 2 centimeters. Join that to the end of the page, and you can indicate that this will be the flap. Before cutting out, we also want to round our chin, our reference point, because this is where our chin will be, and we want it to lie flush against the round chin. So you can just again freehand draw a small curve at that tip. And that's the pattern. Before cutting out my pattern though, I'm going to indicate where the fold is and where the stretch should lie. So the top of the head is the flap, the fold, and the stretch would be vertical, so it would be in that direction. And then you're going to cut out your pattern, I see here I forgot about the hem allowance, so I'm just going to extend that flap just that centimeter extra. That is what your pattern should look like. Alright, so now we're going to be doing the pattern for the neckband, which will be attached to the chin strap. And we'll be using these three measurements, which is circumference B for the top of the neck, circumference C for the circumference of the base of the neck, and distance I, which is the height of the neck. And we'll be starting in the bottom right hand corner of the page. So starting with the vertical measurements, that is distance I, and in this case the height of the neck is 6 centimeters. So we'll be marking that. And then returning to the bottom of the page, we're then going to, along the horizontal edge, just measure out circumference C, which is the base of the neck. A reminder that these two circumferences we aren't going to be calculating or dividing, we're just going to be using as is. So circumference C in this case is 34.9 centimeters. So 34.9. And then at the top of the neck, at the top of distance I, we're going to be measuring out circumference B, which is 32.2 centimeters in this case. .2. You can also ensure that the back of the that the end of this pattern is the same as distance I. So again, you can check that this is 6 centimeters. You can see because it's a long line, your measuring might be slightly off. So then I'm going to join this. And then you're going to join these two measurements, so the end of circumference C and B. You can also indicate the top of neck and base of neck. In the instance of the chin strap, the base of the neck would have a fold, and the neckband would be 2 layers thick, with the fold being at the base of the neck, and the stretch would be around the neck, around the circumference of the neck, so in that direction. And then you can cut out your pattern. So now we'll be cutting out the pattern for the chin strap. So just make sure that you place your pattern on a fold of material. Remember that the pattern, this is the top of the head and this is the bottom of the head. So you'd place the top of the head on the fold, and then just remember that the stretch of the material must be the length of the head, so it must be in this direction, right? So I'll start by pinning and then cutting out the pattern. Once you've cut out the pattern for the chin strap, this section that says flap only applies to one side of the fold of the material. So you can remove your pattern, and then on one piece of the two pieces of material you can cut away the flap section. So for the neckband pattern, I would ensure that my piece of material has a horizontal stretch to go around the circumference of the neck, and then on the fold I would place the base of the neck edge along the fold. I'd pin that down and cut that out. If you're creating a neckband for a chin strap, then ensure that, as I've done here, the fold is at the base of the neck. However, if you're making a neckband to be at the top of a vest, so like a polo neck, then ensure that the top of the neck is the fold line. Once you've cut out your chin strap, before we close off the chin and the back of the head, we're first going to create a hem around the front of the face and the crown of the head. And you can do that by just making sure that you are hemming away from the shiny side so that the hem faces on the outside of the chin strap. And it's a very small hem that you're going to create, so sometimes it's difficult to pin, and you just fold the hem as you sew with a very small zigzag stitch. So this is what it should look like once you've finished your hems. It's okay if it's a little bit wavy. Once the chin strap stretches, it will conform to the face. Our next step then is to sew the chin closed. So when you fold, just make sure that you have the shiny side on the inside, and use your pattern to guide you to where to stop sewing. So we're going to place that over, and with a piece of chalk, we're then going to mark where the chin ends. Some chalk. All right, and now you're going to sew from the top of the chin to the bottom. You're going to sew that closed. So once you've finished off sewing the front of the chin strap around the chin, you can then go on to finishing the chin strap by securing Velcro to the back of the head if you're not going to include the neckband. If there's no scars on the neck, you don't need to include the neckband. So you would do that by first identifying the longer end, which is where the flap will be. The flap will first have the loop or the female Velcro on the inside, about where my chalk is, because this is where it would touch against the neck, and we don't want it to be a hard Velcro that may touch the skin, so that would be face inward. And then the rough or the hook Velcro would be on the outside, and that would be on the back of the neck where both would join together to close off the back of the chin strap. Alright, so before we add the neckband to the chin strap, It's important firstly to orientate yourself to the correct fold. So firstly, the top of the neckband, you can see the circumference is slightly smaller than the bottom, and the bottom is where the fold is and the top is where the neckband is open. This is because we want the fold to be against the skin and for it to be comfortable against the patient's neck, and the top of the neckband is going to be open. This is where we're going to stitch it and join it to the chin strap. Also, make sure that you fold with the shiny side facing the outside, because this is the only garment that is double layer, and we're going to have the shiny side against the skin, and so the outside is also going to appear shiny. So it's just important that the dull side is folded inward. We're then going to create a stretch zigzag stitch along the length of the middle of the neckband. This prevents rolling, so try and make a wide stitch down the middle before we attach it onto the chin strap. So once you've created your stretch zigzag down the length of your neckband, you can now attach your neckband to the chin strap. We're first going to start by making sure that when we close the back of the neckband, that once we attach Velcro, we want it to match up neatly. So if you close your neckband, so fold it in half, you'll see that there's a small flap of material that we need to trim off. So you can use some chalk and you can just mark where you want to cut that away, and I'm just going to do that now. So that's going to match perfectly. Now I'm going to attach the top of the neckband to the bottom of the chin strap, making sure that, remember, the top of the neckband needs to be these open flaps, and the bottom of the neckband or the base of the neckband to be a fold. And I do that by first folding this in half and identifying and marking with a chalk where the middle would be, and I want to match that to the chin strap middle, and you can do that by pinning. When I pin, I'm going to actually pin the neckband, it looks upside down, so that once I sew it and I open it up, we're going to have a smooth surface against the patient's skin. There isn't going to be any seam lines or irritation. So you actually turn it sort of upside down with the top of the neckband adjacent to the bottom of the chin strap. I'm matching my middle to that middle, to that seam where the chin is, and that's the first place I'm going to pin. And then I'm going to pin along the rest of the chin strap. Alright, so now I'm going to sew along the length. So from where my neckband starts, I'm going to sew to the end, attaching the neckband to the chin strap. When you get to this junction, just be careful to make sure that as you cross over the chin, that we don't double sew or seam the chin together. So I'm just making sure I clear that extra piece of material away. Let me just show it to you, this part. We don't want to sew this onto the neckband, obviously, so I'm just making sure that's out of the way when I sew. return the foot, and I'll just finish the neckband. So once you've finished sewing and joining the neckband to the chin strap, when you unfold the neckband, this is what it should look like, with the seam facing the outside. And when you open it up, it should be smooth against the patient's skin without a seam irritating their skin. Now, to finish up the chin strap and neckband, you would ideally fit it to the patient and mark with chalk where the Velcro should be placed to ensure the best fit. Just remembering that the hook rough Velcro would be facing outward, and the soft loop Velcro would be on the inside and flapped over it, like so.